Hello, welcome to Triggered Care. I thought I'd make a video about my experience watching my country and the world go through a collective trauma, being a trauma survivor myself, some of the similarities I see in group trauma responses to individual trauma responses, and just my experience as a whole going through it with everybody and experiencing my own trauma symptoms and what that's like. So, when the pandemic first started back in March, where Wisconsin had the stay-at-home order, my reaction was a bit off. I don't know what to call it. It was a bit weird. I remember my therapist checking in with me and me being like, you know what? This is actually nice in a weird way because everybody is panicking, but I feel calm for some reason. And I know how to comfort people. So it actually is easier to talk to people because they're talking to me way more overwhelmed than they usually are. And then I get to be the calm voice of everything's going to be okay. Let's take care of immediate needs. I can support you, I can listen, and it was like I could relate to more people. And that was nice after a long time of feeling like an outcast that doesn't really have a place anywhere. That was not very long lived though, because then into the pandemic we go, and all of the other things that are wrong with this country, and it wore me down a bit. Seeing people fight on Facebook all the time wears me down a bit. Seeing all the disturbing news things coming out wears on me quite a bit. A lot of days I feel like I've lost my mind, but also I felt like that forever, so it's almost like I'm at home at this point where chaos is comfortable in a way, because it's like, well, I know what to do here. You live day by day. The memory loss, I've always had a wonky memory, so that hasn't really changed that much for me personally. What has changed is seeing other people go through memory loss and realizing, oh my goodness, we're all in this memory loss craziness together. In response to it for myself, I record video diaries nearly every day, and I have since before March, just because of my own personal traumas that were going on. And I mean, I don't even watch them that much, because a lot of times I'll watch one and I'll totally forget whatever I said in there, because it's some traumatic stuff where my brain's like, I don't have the cojones to understand and comprehend this right now. And then the riots, which I already made a video about my feelings about the riots, but another national trauma that we're all going through. And then following the riots, all the lynching of the black men around the country also hit me very hard. I've been upset about the concentration camps since I first learned about them, and I think about them every day. I am just overwhelmed, I guess would be the word for it. And I feel like everybody is, but then our brains struggle to keep up with the status quo. We still have to go to work, we still have to pay our bills, we still have to do all these things, along with our want and our need to try to fix things and try to make things better for people, along with watching our family members and friends who don't see the need for change, or they just want to ignore it, and having that infuriate us. There's a lot going on. The point of this video is I don't know. I'm just upset, and I figured I'd make a video about being upset and overwhelmed, because we need to keep track of things. We need to have some sort of collective memory, so then this doesn't keep happening over and over again. We know that the media is trying to manipulate us. Everybody knows that at this point. We talk about it I don't know how many people have told me that they quit watching the news because they can't handle it, because it's overwhelming and it's slanted, no matter if it's liberal or conservative. They're trying to make you feel intense things, and it's upsetting. And so a lot of us avoid it. However, I think we take that anger and that confusion and we're turning it onto each other, which is also not helpful. It's a lot like a narcissistic family unit where the narcissistic parent, uses scapegoating and triangulation and all sorts of narcissistic tactics to get us fighting with each other more than realizing, oh, our parent is the one who's abusive. It's not that my siblings are all buttholes or whatever it is. It's literally that the person in charge of taking care of us and leading us, they're doing a horrible job of it. And that's extremely upsetting, especially when people are dying because of it. And I understand the urge to yell at the people who disagree with us, our family members, the people that we know in real life, because they are easily accessible. We can just Facebook them up or message them or call them or get in their face and tell them that they're wrong and they're so stupid for believing whatever. But the thing is, they believe whatever for a reason. Apathy is like a disease, right? Like, just not caring is an option when faced with trauma. It's an option that I took when I was a kid. That was the only thing that got me through all the trauma that I've seen in my life. Is telling myself it doesn't matter, nothing matters. That is a trauma response. I understand we want to scream at people for having that response because we're looking around like, look at all these dead people. Look at the abuse going on in the system. Look at this racism. Like, how can you just be okay with this? But we have to keep in mind, they're still going through a trauma too, whether they recognize it, whether they want to talk about it or not. They are also having a trauma response. And whether we like it or not, we can fall into that trauma response too, of being apathetic and not really caring about whatever trauma is going on. So I guess the point of this video is still love the people who disagree with us and still keep those lines of communication open. I know that it's infuriating. I know. I am not a saint. I myself have yelled at people for thinking differently than me during the last 6 months. I have heard some stuff, whether it was All Lives Matter or whatever it is, where I just snapped. I'm like, excuse me, what did you just say? I've done that. I'm not perfect or taking my own advice that well at all. Anyway. But they are also going through pain. And even if they can't put the right words to it or express it in that way, they are. And it does not help to tell somebody to shove their pain up their butt and think about other people for once when they're stuck in that mindset. What we need right now, more than anything, is to communicate with each other, to share our pain with each other, to share our stories of, this was a hard time for me. Tell me about a hard time for you. That's what we need the most in order to build those strong relationships that can last through traumatic events, in order to actually assess what we can do to fix things. Because yelling at our racist uncles on Facebook will not fix things. It will not change minds. And honestly, we don't have a lot of time to set up classes for everybody about the impacts of racism. You know what will teach them that faster than anything? People, minorities, whoever it is that they can't see their struggle, befriending them and them seeing that they're people. And the only way to do that is to have a civil, friendly relationship with them. That's what we need, is communication with each other. Because the people manipulating us, the people who are like messing around with the news and trying to implant all these horrible feelings into us, aren't our family and friends. They're not the ones who are manipulating us. And we need to recognize that. And we also need to be there for our people. Americans are our people. The American people are in a really hard spot right now. Everybody is. And we need to do stuff to communicate and then to take action. Protests are beautiful. I love all of the social justice work going on. I want that to continue. We need to rewrite laws. We need to shut down the concentration camps. We need to completely redo the criminal justice system from like the foundations at this point. It is so messed up. We need to stop for-profit prison systems. The people running the concentration camps are the same people running the for-profit prison systems. And they're making a shit ton of money a year. So I get the want to let the anger out at whoever is closest and making you the most mad at whatever time. But then we're wasting our energy and destroying relationships while letting the actual bad guys off the hook. So I guess that's my upsetness. Well, I just wanted to vent about my feelings, and then I went on some rambles. But hopefully that made sense. I don't know if that did make sense. I've just been feeling overwhelmed. I had a long week myself. And I'm just hoping that maybe I can convince people to be a little bit nicer to each other and to listen for the hurt underneath the apathy. So there we go. Have good ones. And also try to keep a record of your life, of what's going on. Memory is going to be really hard to hold on to as we continue down this road of attempting social change and people getting imprisoned and all the stuff going on right now. Stay strong. Reach out to people when you need it or even when you want it. That's enough to reach out if you just want somebody to talk to. You don't need somebody, but just wanting it. And I guarantee you will be surprised at how much other people want it too. So stay strong. I love you all. We can do it.